A realtor that works in my area qualified a potential client, showing them a property, and he made an eerie confession to her that led to police involvement. Today, we're going to be talking all about showing safety. So, welcome to Safe Realty. I'm your host, Shannon Cutler. I'm on a mission to educate my listeners so they don't become the next news headline. As a former police officer with 18 years of investigative experience and now a real estate agent, I guide realtors on how to handle their own security in vulnerable situations and develop best safe business practices. If you enjoy learning new tools to improve your safety, I'm going to ask you follow this podcast, and if you would leave a review, even better. Share it with your friends or play this episode at your next office meeting. Trust me, you'll all get something out of it. It will go a long way in a short period of time. So today we're going to talk about showing safety. Real estate agents do this all the time. It is the crux of their business. It's how we get people to find their new homes. And I mean, I did a house hunting trip with an RCMP family 2 weeks ago. I think we viewed 17 homes in 2.5 days. So we are in it. And that is a very common, a very common thing for us to do. And it's just the way it is. However, sometimes we aren't as familiar or as comfortable with our clients as we would like. And we are then showing properties to people who are near or complete strangers. I think 2 episodes ago, I talked about vetting potential clients. So if you want to hear more about how to protect yourself prior to meeting somebody so that they aren't a true stranger, take a listen to that. I'll link in the show notes. So let's just go back to the story that I led with at the beginning. So a female agent qualified, I don't mean qualified a client like, do you have a mortgage in place, or, are you ready to buy? Give me your finances. I mean qualified them as in that they were a legitimate person. They were who they said they were. They followed my advice. And this fellow was coming up to view a property and said that he was a mortgage broker. So this fellow comes up, goes out to a semi-remote, not remote, but semi-rural, larger property with this female agent. And they start to look around, getting a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling about this guy. And then he says to her, "Oh, just so you know, I was a suspect in the murder of Lindsay Buziak." Like, ding, 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 alarm bells going off everywhere. Lindsay Buziak was a Vancouver Island realtor who was murdered in a showing in a home in 2008. And that is still an unsolved crime. So this male said that he had been a suspect in her homicide. He did say that he had been cleared by police. However, at that time of him making those comments to this agent at the showing, she had no way of knowing this. She was scared for her life. All you want to do is just run, like just turn around and run. And if she had the opportunity, that might not have been a bad plan to run to her vehicle, call 911 and say, "This freaking crazy guy just told me that he was a murder suspect in a homicide of another real estate agent. I am a real estate agent alone with this crazy idiot on this remote property. I need some help." Even if the guy wasn't going to kill her, which he wasn't. But at the time, that may have been her belief. Why did he bring this up to her? Why did he say such a stupid thing alarming her? Like, it makes no sense to me. A reasonable person would not make those comments if he had been a suspect and he was cleared. Keep it to yourself. Like, you stupid jackass, keep it to yourself. Why are you trying to scare this person? The only purpose of those comments was to alarm and invoke terror. There's no other reason for it. Zero. A reasonable person would not do that. Okay, so that brings us to the topic of the day, showing safety. This person, this real estate agent, she did what she was supposed to do. She verified who this guy was prior to showing the property to him. So she did all the things right. She couldn't have predicted that this was going to happen. And when we talk about these things, there's never a purpose of blaming or fault. It's just awareness and education. So that just brings all these things we're going to talk about today right to heart. This is part 1 of showing safety. It requires more than one episode because no one wants to hear me ramble on for more than 20 minutes anyways. But we're going to talk about showing safety and preparedness today. And then next time we will talk about what to do in a showing should things start going sideways and you need to, to come up with a plan. So vetting is done. We know who we're meeting, sort of. You either do or you don't. Some people, like my RCMP family, I was very comfortable with them prior to their arrival. Others are virtual strangers. And let's be honest that, probably half of our business are going to be virtual strangers. Hopefully we've qualified them in some way. We've done the vetting. We figured out a little bit who they are, ran their socials. We've maybe had a meeting in public or Zoom or at the office. We know who we're going to go see. Maybe our comfort level is a little bit better. But let's start with number 1. What are we going to do before we go to a showing? So we book our showings for the day, whether it's 1 or like me last week, 7, 8 a day. I have a showing schedule. So I do my showing schedule up. It's a little Canva template. I drop that as a JPEG in a text to my clients or an email with whoever they are, print out if they're older, and they know where we're going, what time we're going, what the address is. I also take that little template and I send it to my husband, or it could be another agent that I'm working with, depending. Right now, we're a small office, so we don't have that many people to go around. So my husband, he gets to do it. Lucky him. Make the showing schedule. Let somebody know where you're going. If there's a new agent in your office, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, do you want to join me on this? Do you want to join me on showings today? Get them comfortable with the process, with talking to clients, with what's going on. So we've got our buddy, or we've told someone where we're going for the day. Even your admin staff or another agent, even if they're not joining you, let them know where you're going to go and maybe say, okay, I'm going to check in with you at noon. We'll have viewed 3 showings, 3 properties by then. I'll check in with you at noon. If you don't hear from me, give me a call. If I don't answer, probably something's wrong. You can drop a pin when you get somewhere. Maybe it's a weird location. It's hard to describe, or you're just going to one showing. Say, hey, I'm going to drop you a pin when I get there. And that's a really good way for people to know. Lots of people use this Life 360 app as a family, sort of as a location sharing app. And that's really great to do. Depending on the service in your area, it may or may not be effective, but there's nothing wrong with that. Life 360 could be something you use in your office with your admin or, somebody in your family that wants to know where you're going to be showing that day. Those types of things are really great. You can share your location services on your phone. Like in my family, I have my kids on, and their phones share my location. I share my location with them. Although where I go I'm usually literally sitting here at my desk. My life is so unexciting, but their life is a little more exciting, and I get to see where they're going. And if I get a call from the school that said my son wasn't in class, and I checked his phone, I could see that he was in class, or he left his phone in his locker. But anyways, he's a good kid. He's not skipping school. Anyways, you can see where they are. So sharing location is a great idea, and setting a time to check in and doing that check-in. If you say you're going to do it, just follow through. And if you have clients there, say, hey, I'm sorry, I told my admin, I told my husband, told my partner I was going to check in at this time. Give me a few minutes to do that. Go grab a coffee or use the washroom or whatever. I'll see you in a minute. And all this being said, we're super dependent on our phones. So make sure your phone is charged before you leave the office. Oh yeah. And I don't know if you're in a place like Vancouver or rural Vancouver Island, I guess, or anywhere rural, but we have a hell of a lot of rock here. And sometimes your Bluetooth or your access to update your apps on your phone is ineffective because of lack of service. So make sure that you update all your apps that you're using that day before you leave the house. It has bit me in the ass a few times by not doing that. Okay, so number 1 overall is plan your showings, know where you're going, who you're going with, have a scheduling time. This is location is number 1. Number 2, know your area, your property, where you are going. So the previous one was planning your your day in your showing. So this one is actually knowing your location, knowing your situation. So are we going to be showing properties in a very remote, isolated location, like these small islands we deal with off of Vancouver Island? Are we going to a 5 or 10 acre property? Post pandemic, everybody wanted to move to a friggin' farm from the city. And I would take them to a farm and they were like city suburbia folks. I'm like, you want to see what 10 acres looks like? Let's go. And there would be these weird hunting skull heads everywhere on the properties, and they would run back to the city as fast as they possibly could. So let's know where we're going. Type of property, high-rise apartment building versus regular neighborhood, rural, semi-rural, very isolated, high crime, all of the things that we should have some kind of idea. And if you don't have a full idea because you're not as familiar with your location, Google Map it, Google Earth it, have a look at the street view, have a look at the overview, see that, oh yeah, I'm bringing kids with me today. It looks like there's 3 giant ponds on this property. I better let the people know there's huge ponds with no fences. Heads up, these types of things that could come up, make you look like a great agent, but also give you an idea as to where you're going and how to keep yourself safe. That brings me to my next point. So I work Central Vancouver Island off of Vancouver, BC. I am not going to go to downtown Vancouver and show a high-rise apartment. That is not my area of expertise. I like to hang out down there, but I have no knowledge of that area. I'm not going to represent somebody in that area. Use your local agents who know their service area. They're the experts in that type of property, in that neighborhood, all the things it involves. Where you're familiar, that's where you should work. And, there's enough business to go around. So share it. Everybody, agents, share the business. It will come back to you. Another funny one is preparing for your showing. You arrive early so you can have a little look around and see what you're getting yourself into. I literally pulled up to one of these 10-acre properties one day. This same family, they wanted this 10-acre piece of land, and they ended up buying in suburbia, thank goodness, because it was just not the right place for them. I drove up this 1 kilometer long driveway, and periodically up this driveway, there were troll statues holding firearms, and each one had a message more ominous than the next. One was, you will be shot on sight if you're trespassing. So I thought we should just turn around and leave, even though nobody was on the property. No one is actually going to shoot us. But if you don't go early and have a little look around or have some familiarity with your properties, you're going to be, getting yourself into some trouble or finding yourself feeling really unsafe when you go up there. Okay, we've looked on Google Maps. We're familiar with our area. We know what kind of property we're getting ourselves into. So now we are going to go early. We're going to park our vehicle. Remember where you park. If you're in a busy downtown area, remember where you're parking. Or ever go to IKEA and come out the wrong door and it takes you 45 minutes to find your car and you're honking and beeping using your alarm on and off because you can't locate your car? Yeah. So that happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to everybody. But if you're not parking in the driveway or on the road in front of a house, remember where you have parked your vehicle. And if you are parking at a house, my recommendation to you is to back your car in so that your nose is at the edge of the driveway and you are unable to be blocked in, or park on the road so that you can pull out easily and not get blocked in. Oh my God. 2 weeks ago, when I was doing this showing house hunting trip, we had snow on Vancouver Island, which we don't usually have. And I let my clients park in the driveway. I parked on the road in front of the house behind this van, but I got too close to the van. And when they left and I was to meet them at the next showing, I was stuck and I couldn't get out of this spot. I couldn't go forward. I tried to back up. I just spun myself deeper and deeper. I couldn't go forward. There was a van in front of me. So I had to go knock on the door, and this super sketchy guy came out and moved his vehicles. He was very, very kind, but he was super sketchy. And I was like, okay, thank goodness that he was home, or I would have been stuck here on the side of the road. I did not park in a smart place. I did not think about, I'm just so arrogant with my old growing up in a place that was covered in snow that I thought, oh, don't worry, I can get out of here. But anyways, I learned my lesson and I will be more careful when I park. So back your vehicle in so you can easily exit, park it in a place where that you feel that if you had to get out, you could do so quickly and you wouldn't be blocked in. That is ideal. Okay, so we have talked about your showing schedule and letting people know, taking a buddy, dropping a pin. We've talked about going to locations a little bit early and knowing the type of property, high crime, low crime, inner city, suburbia, rural. High crime, we didn't go over that much, but if you are going to a high crime area, it is very important to be safety in numbers and to be visible and loud. And let's try and avoid showings at night. I just think there's no reason to typically. And if you are showing at night, that's a whole other topic. Take a buddy, have somebody with you. It's really most ideal. The third thing we're going to do is we are going to talk a little bit about opening up and being in safety pockets during the showing. It may sound a little over the top, but these are things that agents want to talk about all the time. I did a lecture yesterday to a group of new agents in our board, and that was one of the things they really wanted to talk about was showing safety and who should go in first and who should go up first and who should be here and who should be there. So let's talk about that next. Okay, so we've gotten there early. We've opened up the door. Our clients are not here yet. So we open the door, we go inside and give a little announcement, even maybe before a knock on the door. Lots of times people are home. I've gone in and done an entire showing, and the last bedroom we've gone into, we've discovered a person sleeping in the bedroom. I have gone in with teenagers showering in their house. Even because I knocked and banged on the door, it doesn't sound like anybody's home. We have a showing booked. We go in and there is somebody in the shower, or a dog has come out snarling and growling at me. So get there, get your key access. Preferably you do it prior to your clients arriving. Give a big knock, 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 knock. Open the door. Hello, it's a realtor. I have a showing. Is anybody home? I used to knock, knock, knock. Hello, police. And nobody would be happy to see me. Now people are actually typically happy to see me, which is a little bit nicer of a feeling when you walk into a home. Hello, realtor, anyone home? No answer. Okay, good. No one's home. Go in. I lock the door behind me if my clients are not there yet. Do a quick walk around to get familiar with the property, especially if it's a larger home. Have a quick look, turn all the lights on, have a quick look at exits, and make sure the house has been secure and there's no one sleeping in the beds. Everybody, or if there, one time I went in and there were piles of dog poo on the floor. I mean, then I just went back out and said, hey, let's not even go into this one. I'm not cleaning this dog poo up. This is not my, but let's not even go in. So it could save you also like some time and energy, but it's a safety thing. So if your clients are right behind you, that's also okay. You can always tell them, just give me 1 minute to verify that the house is empty. I'm going to go in and turn the lights on for you so it's a welcoming space. Give me a minute. And people are more than happy to stand out front and look around. Check out the neighborhood. Stand and have a look and listen to make sure there's no sounds, the highway isn't too close, no sounds you don't like, or a neighbor that you don't like the look of, So if you tell people, give them a little suggestion as to what to do to spend their next 2 minutes, they're probably pretty happy to do that. Okay, so you go in, you verify the house is safe to go in, the property's accessible. We're all going to go in now together. If it's a small space, like a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment or condo, we don't all need to crowd in there. You can stand at the door where the exit is and say, yeah, have a look around. Let me know if you have any questions. Point out anything specific that you think they should know, but we do not need to bunch up in a house. Why do we go to the bathroom together? Why do we all need to go into a bathroom or a closet? It is so awkward and unnecessary. It's a bathroom. Let them go in. When they leave, if you feel you need to look under the sink to make sure that the plumbing there's no leaks or anything, you can do that. Or you can do it after when they've left, you lock up, you go back and have a little look. But we do not need to be crowding ourselves in tight spaces. There's absolutely no reason for it. So they go in, they have a look around. If it's a bigger property, we let them go first, wander through this room, you can stay back, and no need to crowd. People don't want to be crowded anyways. Stay where you feel comfortable. If you're getting into an elevator, that's another one, and you're not feeling super comfortable, there's nothing wrong with, saying to the person, especially if it's a new client that you're not really familiar with, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. Please go on ahead. I don't want to get you sick. I feel something coming on, or there's a stomach bug going around in my house. No one wants to get a stomach bug. Everybody knows what comes with a stomach bug. Nobody wants it. So if you say, hey, I wasn't feeling well this morning, my kids are sick, my spouse is sick, my partner, whatever, you go on ahead. I don't want to be in a tight space with you so you don't get sick. If they're a creep, they'll be like, oh no, it's okay, come on in, I don't mind. No, you know what, I would feel more comfortable if you went ahead. I'll meet you up there. Go walk the halls, send them up on the elevator, come back down, you yourself go up, gives you a few minutes to adjust and to be prepared. Go on, you go up and then you continue your showing. And if you still don't feel comfortable, you don't have to continue with the showing as well, but then at least you'd have a bit of time to think about it on the way up. Same with stairs. You guys go on ahead, I'll be right behind you. You can always say, if you're feeling like the elevator is not somewhere you want to be with somebody, it's a tight space, or stairs, or something is coming up for you, you can always say, you know what, I have an emergency call to make. I'm so sorry. Continue with the showing. I'll be right behind you, or walk the halls, or check out the backyard. I'll be right there. Gives you a bit of time. When we are prepared and familiar, we can be calmer. When we are calmer, we have the ability to make better decisions. We have the ability to focus on the right things, the things that are important. So any of these suggestions I make are only best practices for you to employ, or suggestions for you to take that will help you feel safer and calmer and stronger going into a showing or to a meeting with a client. And that's what the whole thing is about. That's all we want to do, is just establish these best practices. So on showing safety part 2, we're going to go over what to do in a showing when things start to get uncomfortable, things to say, best practices of how to get out of a situation, or what to do next in order to, if things are starting to either just be uncomfortable and or in an emergency situation. Open house safety is similar to showing safety, but we're going to add a few extras on an open house safety episode. We're going to give it its own episode because there are a few things that have come up that I really think are specific to that type of situation. So we'll talk about that on another episode. So before we do a quick recap of today's episode, I would like to ask you, if you have a story or a tip to share, please reach out to me via social media or email. All the links are below in the show notes. Your experience could help someone else, and it might even be featured on an upcoming episode. I'd love to connect with you. Leave a rating and review so that others can find me just like you have, and learn ways to keep themselves safer. If you learn anything in today's episodes, please recommend and send this show to a friend. Play this at your next office meeting. Share, share, share. So today we talked about showing safety part 1, and talked about a couple situations in which we've encountered some risky or uncomfortable people present in a home, and a couple ways we can avoid that. So let's, number 1, get our showing schedule together and let people know where we're going and who we're going to be with. Number 2, be prepared for your location, know where you're going, the type of property, and the possible risks that may come up as a result of that. We talked a little bit about parking your car and being able to leave quickly should you feel the need to do it. And number 3, we talked about actually accessing the property and entering in, giving people space, where to position yourself, and how to give yourself a little time should you need to, like by saying, I'm not feeling well, you go on ahead, or I'll wait till your emergency has come up. I need to make a quick call. I'm so sorry. Anytime that we have the ability to give ourselves a little space, a little time to calm down and to assess the situation, it's going to go a long way in how we take the next steps. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time. Be safe, everyone.